What if I told you we could literally see with sound? I know, it sounds like something straight out of a comic book, right? But this is real-world tech, and it lets us do incredible things, like peer inside the human body or map parts of our world that are totally invisible. And that brings us to the big question, right? How on earth can you take something you hear, a vibration, and turn it into something you can see? It doesn't seem like it should work. But it does, and that's exactly the mystery we're going to unravel today.
I mean, for most of us, this is where we've seen it in action. The classic ultrasound, right? It's that amazing moment where this wild, abstract science becomes something so personal. It's the very first time you get to see a new life. But again, how is that even possible? How does sound create that picture?
Okay, so to figure this out, we've got to start with the main character of our story, the sound wave itself. And we're not talking about just any sound. We're going to have to go to a place that's way beyond what our ears can even pick up.
So what is ultrasound? Well, at the end of the day, it's not some weird mystical energy. It's just sound. That's it. Think of it like a dog whistle. You can't hear it, but the sound is definitely there. Ultrasound is just pitched so incredibly high that it's completely silent to us. But just because we can't hear it, oh man, doesn't mean we can't do some amazing things with it.
So here's the magic number you need to remember. 20,000 hertz. That's pretty much the ceiling for human hearing. Anything above that is ultrasound. And we're not just talking a little bit above. Medical ultrasound operates in the millions of hertz. It's a whole different world of sound up there.
Okay, so why do we care about such a high frequency? What's the big deal? Well, it all comes down to something called wavelength. The higher the frequency, the smaller and tighter the sound wave is. Imagine you're trying to paint a detailed portrait. You wouldn't use a giant wide paint roller, would you? No way. You'd want a super fine brush. That's what ultrasound is. Its tiny wavelength is like the finest possible paintbrush, and that's what lets it paint those incredibly detailed images.
All right, we've got our superfine paintbrush. Now, how does it actually see what it's painting? Well, it all boils down to two key abilities that this sound has. We're going to call them the echo and the shadow.
So let's start with the echo. The fancy science term for this is reflection, but really, that's all it is, an echo. You see, as these little sound waves travel into the body, they're passing through all sorts of different stuff: skin, fat, muscle, organs. And every single time they hit a new type of material, a little bit of that sound bounces right back. It's exactly like shouting hello into a canyon and hearing your voice come back. You send out a sound, it hits something, and a weaker version, the echo, returns to you. The ultrasound machine is doing that exact same thing, except it's doing it millions of times every single second. It's just incredible.
Okay, so that's the echo. The second piece of the puzzle is something called attenuation. All this really means is that sound waves lose energy as they move through stuff. It's like trying to run. Running on a paved road? Easy. Trying to run through knee-deep mud? You're going to get tired and slow down real fast. Sound is the same way. It zips through fluid, no problem, but when it hits something dense, it gets weakened. And this is what creates the shadow effect. Some materials, like bone, are so dense that they're basically a brick wall to sound waves. The sound hits the bone and just stops. It gets almost completely blocked. And what happens when you block a light source? You get a shadow behind it. It's the same thing with sound. And that dark sound shadow is just as important as the echo for building the final picture.
Okay, let's recap. We've got echoes bouncing back from different tissues. We've got shadows forming behind dense stuff like bone. So, now for the big reveal. How does a machine take all that information and turn it into a picture? This is where it all comes together.
All right, here's the play-by-play. That little wand, the transducer, sends out these super short pulses of ultrasound. Then it immediately switches to listening mode for the returning echoes. Now this is where the genius part comes in. A computer is timing everything. For every single echo that comes back, it asks two simple questions. First, how long did it take to return? That tells the computer how deep the object is. Second, how strong was the echo? That tells it what kind of tissue it hit. And it does this over and over, millions of times, to build that live image, pixel by pixel. I love this way of thinking about it. It's not really a photograph, is it? It's more like a portrait being painted in real time entirely with sound. Every tiny dot of light on that screen, that's a single echo that the machine caught, timed, and put in the perfect spot. The machine is literally painting a picture with sound. So, making these incredible images is amazing, for sure. But that's just scratching the surface. Once we figured out this basic principle, using sound echoes to map out invisible things, we started applying it in some really wild and unexpected ways.
I mean, just look at this list. It's nuts. The sonar on a submarine mapping the ocean floor? That's just a giant ultrasound. Finding a tiny invisible crack in a jet engine part before it fails? Yep, that's ultrasound too. And get this, in medicine, we can now focus these sound waves with so much power that they can literally shatter kidney stones inside your body or even destroy tumors, all without a single cut. It's just mind-blowing.
So when you boil it all down, that's the key takeaway. By learning how to control and listen to these higher frequency sounds, we've basically given ourselves a superpower, the power to see worlds that are completely invisible. Whether it's inside a person, at the bottom of the sea, or deep inside a piece of metal, we can see it.
And that just leaves you wondering, right? The tech is getting better, faster, and more precise every single year. So what other hidden worlds are we going to be able to see soon? Could we watch neurons firing in the brain live? Or maybe even see the inner workings of a single living cell? Who knows? The only thing we know for sure is that the possibilities are absolutely incredible.